Tonight on Screen Sport in two parts. This is the first day's racing, the night time. We have riding in this one in red, Gerrit Rook from the Netherlands. Riding in blue from Sweden, Jan Sigurd. Riding in white from Finland, Hannu Laronmaa. And in yellow and black, also from Finland, Jorma Reima. As the riders come out for Heat 1, I can tell you we've got some good news in the British camp, because one of the Russians, in fact, has had to pull out of the meeting, and it does mean that John Walmsley will ride in the meeting proper. More details of that coming into Heat 2, but first we have the riders out for Heat 1. So the British representation here doubled to 2 for this semi-final, with the withdrawal from the meeting of Rice Mustafin. So great news there in the British camp that John will be taking full part in the meeting, not just as reserve, but here we have the opening riders coming out for Heat 1 on the inside gate position in red. The helmet colours correspond to the gates all night here at Assen. Riding in red, Gerrit Rook. In blue, Jan Sigurd. In white, Hannu Laronmaa. In yellow, Jorma Reima. Reima, one of the 6 world finalists in this field here tonight. Jan Sigurd in blue also made the world final last year. Reima makes a good start off the outside. Sigurd just getting caught by the Dutchman going into the turn. Gerrit Rook leads, coming down the back straight. Sigurd is second, now Reima being pushed back into third place. Battling for that second on the outside of the Swede. At the back it's Laronmaa. Well, in fact, Laronmaa taking up third place now as Reima loses out completely. Rook is now back into second place as Sigurd takes up the lead. Well, a very tough first turn by Gerrit Rook, giving him the lead temporarily, but Jan Sigurd, the man that he just caught going into the bend, has now got the upper hand. The Swede leads here in Heat 1. Jan Sigurd first. Second, Gerrit Rook. Third in white, Hannu Laronmaa. Fourth in yellow, Jorma Reima. Just over 1 lap to go now. Sigurd, a comfortable qualifier from Groningen at the start of the World Championship rounds. Scored 27 points for second place in that meeting. Comes from Gothenburg. And he will get the win in Heat 1. Jan Sigurd wins. Second place goes to Gerrit Rook. Third place to Hannu Laronmaa. And fourth place to the man who briefly led, Jorma Reima. So fascinating start there to the meeting with Sigurd having to come from the back after getting caught by the Dutchman on the first turn. Sigurd wins, Rook second, Laronmaa third, and Reima has to settle for fourth position. A marvellous start to the meeting. And the Swedes will be happy with that, with Jan Sigurd winning his opening race here tonight. Top scorer, as I said earlier, for the Swedes in Leningrad last weekend with 23 points as replacement for Erik Stenlund. Now the good news about John Walmsley coming into the meeting proper. The news is that Rice Mustafin, who qualified from the Groningen quarter-final in third place, was injured in a crash with Sergei Kazakov, former world champion in the Russian Championships. That ruled Kazakov out of his semi-final at Madonna di Campagna. It rules Mustafin out of this semi-final here tonight at Assen. We were told they were all riding, but this late news has come through. It means now that John Walmsley steps up from the number 17 reserve berth to ride at number 7 in tonight's meeting proper.
The Dutchman and Nederlands rijdt de Engelsman Walmsley, John Walmsley in the second heat.
In Heat 2 we have 2 British riders. Paul Evitts will ride in yellow. Paul from Dudley in the West Midlands rides for Birmingham Speedway, formerly with Stoke, Long Eaton and Scunthorpe. His big chance now. Failed in last year's semi-final in Eindhoven. I know he's very keen on qualifying from here, but it's going to be a very tough night for the British racers. The 3 men who will take the inside gate positions on him here in Heat 2. Riding in red, Conny Fastesen, 41 years of age from Sweden. Gate 2 in blue, John Walmsley. Gate 3 in white, Johan Last. Last, the 20-year-old from Holland, and Paul Evitts on the outside, rolling into the tapes there. That is not an excludable offence in international racing. And away from the start, and Evitts has made the gate. Walmsley missing out, but Evitts leads going into the turn. Second place in red, Conny Fastesen. Third place in white, Johan Last. Marvellous start here for Evitts. Let's see whether he can hold on now. He's going wide there. That's the chance for the Swede, and Fastesen's got the speed. So a mistake there by Paul, just leaving the gap for Fastesen to come through. Evitts so challenging again, lunging for the back wheel as he came out of that bend. Fastesen qualified from that Tampere quarter-final with 17 points. We also saw him at Stockholm in that technical as well. Oh, Evitts going wide there and he's lost it. side by side, and yes, the Dutchman Johan Last is through. Well, disappointment here for Paul Evans, coming under pressure now from his fellow countryman John Walmsley, both members of the HL1 British ice racing team. Evans now making a challenge on the back straight. Fastason's going to win, but Evans is going to have to settle for third place. Well, after a superb start, Paul Evans getting caught there. Couple of mistakes and getting relegated to third place there in Heat 2. It's a win in red for Connie Fastason. Second place goes to Johan Last. Third place to Paul Evans, and fourth to John Walmsley. Well, it all looks so good in the opening stages, with Paul Evans making a superb gate off the outside start. But just a couple of problems drifted out, left Fastason a space on the inside. The Swede took advantage coming out of the pit turn, and then later on problems as the Dutchman Johan Last came through. So Paul Evans having to settle for third place. John Walmsley challenging for that single point, but disappointment there after what looked like a very promising start in Heat 2. In Heat 3, we have two Soviet Union riders. We have the World Ice Speedway champion, Vladimir Zhukov. We'll take a look at him as they come up to the line on the outside. In yellow, it is Igor Yakolev. Yakolev, a pretty unknown quantity. As they come up to the line, we have on the inside in red, Vladimir Zhukov then. 32-year-old World Ice Racing champion. Gate 2 in blue, Yama Hivasoya, number 2 in the world here at Assen last year. Gate 3 in white, Alfred Nitscher from West Germany. Gate 4 in yellow, Igor Yakolev. Well, Zhukov making a start there on the fin, but Hivasoya renowned for his outside line riding. Just cutting off the advance to Yakolev coming out of the turn. It's Nitscher at the back. He's certainly showed up well in the open meetings at the start of this season, cleaning up at Heerenveen in the team and individual combined open meeting. Well, it's Vladimir Zhukov, World Ice Racing champion, out in front. Conflicting reports as to where he comes from. The program here tonight says he comes from Moscow. The programs I've seen before, the information I've had, this man comes from Siberia, but it's always hard to get the information out of the Soviets. Second place in yellow now, Igor Yakolev. Third place is Yama Hivasoya. This really the test in Heat 3. Hivasoya's had a quiet season, with the exception of 36-point maximum at Insel in the team event. But looking fairly subdued here in Heat 3. Yakolev slipping through, Hivasoya lifting there, going down the back straight. Zhukov is going to win by a mile here in Heat 3. Zhukov first, then second Yakolev. Third place, it's Hivasoya, just glancing back to see where Nitscher was. Disappointing race there for Hivasoya, having to settle for 1 point. But the world champion, we last saw him in Stockholm in that Technikensveld meeting. He was nigh on unbeatable there, with the exception, obviously, of John Fredriksson, who went crazy on the second day. Zhukov, though, looking very much the master there in Heat 3.
Und ein Punkt für Hivasoya und leider kein Punkt für Alfred Nitscher. 3 points, Zhukov, 4 points, Yakolev, and 1 point.
We await the riders now for Heat 4, and the first are coming out now, riding in red, Per Olaf Sorenius. In blue, it is going to be Sergei Sokolov. In white, Erkki Arko, and in yellow, Sergei Ivanov. Well, Ivanov, we saw winning the quarter-final at Groningen with 28 points out of 30. He lines up on the outside gate here in Heat 4. On the inside in red, Per Olaf Sorenius, Swedish veteran, 37 years of age, from Gävle. He's picked up a bug, though, in Leningrad, and he's been ill all week, so his strength will be reduced. He's lost a stone in weight in 7 days. He rides in red. Gate 2 in blue, Sergei Sokolov. Gate 3 in white is Erkki Arko, the spectacular Finn. And gate 4 in yellow, Sergei Ivanov. In case you're wondering, by the way, about the disparity in scores between last week's team final coverage and the official result, the reason was in Heat 32 last week in Leningrad, Arko was excluded against the Germans for, would you believe, crossing the inside line. Well, in the fights coming out to the second turn, it's a lead for Per Olaf Sorenius. Sokolov has dropped back there as Ivanov takes second place, and we have a fall. Blue and white going wide there. The fans get to their feet here in the Ice Stadium Drenthe. Sokolov and Arko both going down there. Well, no, in fact, it was Arko on his own. Sokolov managed to avoid it, And Erkki Arko confirming his spectacular reputation, going straight through the bales there on the pit turn. No exclusion light showing it, but now it is. Erkki Arko is excluded from the restart of Heat 4 as being the primary cause of the stoppage. Well, everything seems to happen when Arko's about. Split the Russians last week in that world team final, and then, as I say, excluded against the Germans. So that turned the German, or rather a Finnish 4-2 into a German 4-2. We only found out after the meeting, and that explains why the Germans and the Finns had slightly different scores in our coverage to the results when they were officially published. But Arko continuing where he left off in Leningrad, with a long walk back to the pits. Hopefully he'll be okay. So 3 riders only in the restart of Heat 4. Well, 2 Russians then against Per-Olof Serenius here in Heat 4. Serenius, the late replacement in the Swedish squad last week in Leningrad, replacing John Fredriksson, who in turn had been selected to replace Serenius in the Swedish squad. Scored 17 points in Leningrad. Serenius' form so far in the World Championship: 19 at Tampere in the quarter-final for 5th place. Scored 14 at Eindhoven in the team semi-final and 17 at Leningrad. And in that Technicusveld International, scored 25 points for 2nd place in Stockholm. Also 3rd place at an individual meeting at Les Auches in France with 25. Last year here in the World Final, scored 12 points for 5th place. So Serenius having to battle against that debilitating bug he picked up in Leningrad. Obviously wasn't eating the food we were having, that rather plush hotel that you may have caught a glimpse of during the programme. Certainly well provided for, but Serenius managed to catch the unlucky bit of food and has been laid low all week with a stomach complaint. So we have those 3 riders only in Heat 4. Per-Olof Serenius, Sergei Sokolov and Sergei Ivanov. Sokolov in blue, another rider we don't know too much about. And Sokolov, this is his first time here in Assen, and he looks a little rusty in the opening laps of that race. So Serenius has got to do it all over again here in Heat 4, taking the inside gate position. Sokolov takes gate 2 in blue. Gate 3 is vacant with the exclusion of Erkki Arko. Gate 4 in yellow, Sergei Ivanov. The riders on the outside gate do seem to be coming a long way over the track, virtually into gate 3 to make their starts. Ivanov, no stranger in this one. Must be confused with Yuri Ivanov, who we saw at Frankfurt. And Serenius this time has been caught going into the turn by Sergei Ivanov. The Swede, though, edging his way through on the back straight. So Serenius first, Ivanov second. It's very tight out there, coming out the pit turn. Ivanov's got the upper hand again. 24-year-old Russian from Krasnoyarsk, having the battle here with Per-Olof Serenius, known as Porta in Sweden. Serenius just about edging it there, coming down the home straight. Marvellous race here. Ivanov chasing all the way. Sokolov settling for the 3rd place. Well, Ivanov knowing that a win here would put him alongside Zhukov in the opening stages of this competition, and most importantly put a Russian a fair way behind him, one of his fellow Russians. They're having their own private contest here tonight. And there, in fact, now goes Sokolov, just blocked out by Ivanov. I don't think Ivanov knew he was there coming out to the turn. Serenius is doing it again, though, in the final turn. The Swede holds on as Ivanov makes his move. Serenius wins. Ivanov second. Sokolov third. A game of cat and mouse there. And the Swede holds on for the win in Heat 4. Per-Olof Serenius, then battling against that illness, wins Heat 4. 2nd place Sergei Ivanov, and 3rd place Sergei Sokolov. Well, disappointing start for Erkki Arko, failing to score in the opening race with that exclusion, but Serenius going well there, joining 2 fellow Swedes on the 3-point mark. Indeed, with 4 heats completed now, all riders have had 1 race, and the opening race winners are as follows. Just a reprise: Jan Sigurd, Conny Fastason, and Per-Olof Serenius from Sweden, and Vladimir Zhukov from the Soviet Union, the world ice champion.
Ook in die periode zult u zich niet vervelen voor de Swede in de first heat. Los weer aan de praat gebracht, opgewarmd met de branders. U weet dat ze altijd weer een klein beetje nostalgisch.
We have one of those opening heat winners coming up now in Heat 5, Conny Fastason. will ride in the white helmet colour. On the inside of him, two men with 2 points so far, Ivanov and Rock. And the man on the outside, Alfred Nitsche, has yet to score. Nitsche then in yellow will be trying to improve on that. 0 first time out, beaten into last place by Yamahiva Sawyer. As mentioned earlier, Nitsche going well in the opening meetings at the start of the year. 18-point maximum in the team open at Heerenveen and 15-point maximum in the individual open. Finished fourth at Groningen for a total of 23 points. Quite a transformation. Nitsche eliminated last year at the quarter-final stage in Groningen by John Walmsley. Four riders then at the start of Heat 5. On the inside in red, Sergei Ivanov. Gate 2 in blue, it's Gerrit Rock. Gate 3 in white, Connie Fastayson. Gate 4 in yellow, Alfred Nitsche. Well, Fastayson getting pulled back there. Starting marshal not at all happy with the Swede. Getting it back now, Fastayson missing the start in fact. And it's the man on the inside who's gating first, Sergei Ivanov. Second place in yellow, Alfred Nitsche. Vital points here for the West German, especially if he could go all the way and challenge the Russian, but he's now losing out in second to Connie Fastayson. The Swede takes up second and he's challenging Ivanov now on the outside. The Russian relaxing if anything, and the Swede getting the door blocks, and that lets Nitsche through. Excellent racing here in Heat 5. And indeed, Rock is not far out of it in fourth place. About 15 yards separating all four. Ivanov blocks him out in the middle of the track. Marvellous race for second place. Fastayson going wide. Nitsche now through for second. Gerrit Rock, though, could come through. His way blocked, though, by the three riders at the moment. Just over 1 lap to go now in a fascinating Heat 5. Ivanov first. Second up presently is Fastayson. Then we have Nitsche. At the back is Gerrit Rock. Well, they're beginning to spread out now as the checkered flag is readied. It is going to be a win for Ivanov. Promise there for Fastayson momentarily. He holds on, though, for second place. Ivanov first, Fastayson second. Third place, Alfred Nitsche, and fourth place, Gerrit Rock. Well, one of the closest races you could see on any form of speedway surface. Sergei Ivanov in control, but the riders behind him bunching and providing a fascinating race. Second place, picking up the 2 points, Connie Fastayson. Third place, Alfred Nitsche, and fourth place, Gerrit Rock. Ivanov now moves on to 5, Fastayson on to 5, his first defeat of the evening. Gerrit Rock remains on 2, and Nitsche moves on to 1 point.
De resultaten die zij eerder vandaag behaald hebben. Sergei Sokolov met nummer 14.
We have two of those early heat winners now in Heat 6. Vladimir Zukov and Jan Sigurd. Well, we've seen Fastayson lose out after a win first time. Should be an interesting one now between Zukov and Sigurd. Zukov will go in gate 2 in blue. Sigurd off gate 3 in white. The other riders on the inside in red. Sergei Sokolov, he has got 1 point. And the outside man in yellow, Johan Last from the Netherlands, he has got 2. Watch for Zukov now and Sigurd. And it's the Russian who's made the start off gate 2. Fellow Soviet in red there, Sokolov blocking out the Swede. Sigurd having to settle for third place. And Sokolov, to use an American term, running interference there for his partner as Zukov breaks clear of the pack. Now fighting through for second, it is Jan Sigurd. Third place, it is Sokolov. At the back, Johan Last. Zukov looking quite comfortable, but no, really. Sigurd is closing in all the time. Sigurd, 35 years of age, against Zukov, 32. Prime age really for ice racers in the early 30s. Zukov not quite in so much command as I think I would have expected here in Heat 6. Looks vulnerable to Sigurd, but in the race to the line it's going to be Zukov who holds on. Zukov then becomes the first rider to win 2 races here tonight in Assen. Second place goes to Jan Sigurd. Third place there going to Sergei Sokolov, and fourth place to Johan Last. So Sokolov is now on 2 points, just 2 third places for the Russian number 14 here tonight. Zukov 6 out of 6. Sigurd drops his first point for 5, and Johan Last remains on 2. So Zukov getting his 2 clear wins at the start, and he's seen off a couple of tough challenges here in the form of Yeva Sawyer and now Sigurd. He'll be feeling confident after that now. 2 wins out of 2 for Vladimir Zhukov, the world champion, after the 6th heat now in command of this meeting. Interesting to see only one rider can join Zhukov at the top of the score chart, and he comes up in heat 7. The man in question is Per-Olof Serenius, the Swede, winner of his opening ride in heat 4. Coming up now against 3 other riders who've only got 2 points between them. Jarmo Hivasaya in red, in white John Wormsley, and in yellow Hannu Laranmaa. Riders coming up to the start now for heat 7. John Wormsley with a chance of picking up a couple of points possibly here in heat 7. Although he is against the world number 2 and the world number 5 here. Hivasaya on the inside, then in red. Second across the gate in blue, it is Per-Olof Serenius. Gate 3 in white, John Wormsley. Gate 4 in yellow, it is Hannu Laranmaa. Well, Hivasaya and Laranmaa, the 2 Finns with a point between them. Or points each, rather. Hivasaya desperately trying to get up on Serenius, going into the turn, edges the Swede off the racing line. Serenius looking for the gap on the back straight. Hivasaya, though, has got the speed. Third in yellow, it's Laranmaa. Wormsley's at the back here. Well, Serenius and Hivasaya setting up, or rather setting up a fascinating battle here. Don't expect too much of young John at the back. Still quite inexperienced in World Ice Championship, and this really is a tough stage. Hivasaya first then, Serenius second. Closing in now is Laranmaa. Laranmaa, former member of the Finnish World Team Championship squad. Looking for the inside line now, Serenius. 1 lap to go. Serenius obviously carrying that illness. May well weaken as the meeting goes on. It's Hivasaya though, leading here in heat 7, looking for the win to bring him up onto 4 points. And that he gets. Hivasaya wins. Serenius is second. 3rd place to Laranmaa, and 4th to John Wormsley. So Jarmo Hivasaya wins in red. He's now on 4 points. 2nd place goes to Per-Olof Serenius. He is now on 5. 3rd place goes to Hannu Laranmaa. He doubles his points up to 2. And at the back in white, John Wormsley remains on 0. Well, it was an unexpected bonus for John to get a place in the meeting proper, but his inexperience, I think, will show through here. It's going to be a struggle for points for the 23-year-old from Millom. So that means now we will only have 1 unbeaten rider after the 2nd round of rides. 1 heat to go off this round. Heat 8. Coming up, Jorma Reima, Paul Evitts, Igor Yakolev and Erkki Arko lining up in the 8th heat. Interesting race for Paul. He's going to have a difficulty with the man on the inside. Reima fairly good out of the gate. Yakolev, 2 points from his first ride. The man who will be coming out in white, still very much an unknown quantity. The man on the outside in yellow, Erkki Arko, of course, the man who went through the bales in his first ride. First man out is Igor Yakolev. Now, what we do know about Yakolev is he scored 25 points at Tampere to finish 3rd. Also rode against Czechoslovakia in a test match at Kemerovo, scoring 17 out of 18 in the 84-24 win, and also won the individual contest with 15 points. Last year, went out of the Ice Racing World Champion in the Frankfurt semi-final. That's Igor Yakolev. He lines up off gate 3 in white here in heat 8. On the inside in red then, to recap, Jorma Reima failed to score on his first ride. Gate 2 in blue, Paul Evitts, 1 point from his first outing. Gate 3 in white, Igor Yakolev, the Russian with 2 points. And Erkki Arko in yellow failed to score first time out. Well, it's Yakolev who makes the start, but Evitts is up there with him. Going into the turn, Paul Evitts has 2nd place. Arko though on the outside of him. That is not a safe position. You've got to watch out for Arko. So better to have Arko on the outside than the inside, as the Germans found out last week. Paul Evitts looking steady here for the 2nd place, letting the Russian go, trying to block out Arko. Paul with pretty convincing performance at Groningen, 17 points for 8th place. 9 riders qualified from that meeting, 7 for this one here in Assen, and 2 went to Madonna di Campaglia. Well, now the yellow and black flag goes out. Of course, it was 10 that qualified from Groningen, with Bruno Montalbini getting effectively seeded through to the Madonna semi-final. And of course, with John Wormsley having finished in front of him, a bit of poetic justice with John getting his place in the semis after all. It's the win in white for the Russian there. Igor Yakolev, and Arko had in fact slipped through for second there. Third place in blue, Paul Levitz. Fourth in red, Yoma Raymer. And Arko almost getting up there on the Russian after overhauling Paul Levitz, and Paul having to settle for another third place. Igor Yakolev wins. He moves on to 5 points now. Second place goes to Erkki Arko. He gets his first points in the meeting. Third place, Paul Levitz doubles up his score onto 2. And Yoma Raymer finishing last there, remaining on 0. Well, that means now all riders have had 2 rides. And we can take a look at the individual points chart so far. Leading the score chart then after 2 rides apiece, Vladimir Zhukov, the world champion, with an unbeaten 6-point total. Then we have quite a group of riders on 5 points. Sergei Ivanov from Russia, Conny Fastason from Sweden, Jan Sigurd from Sweden, Per-Olof Serenius from Sweden. Those 3 Swedes all getting second places in their second ride. Also on 5 points we have Igor Yakolev. Those riders pulling away from the rest, with the exception of Yama Sawyer on 4. Then we have a 2-point gap down to the remainder of the field. Kjerit Rok, Sergei Sokolov, Russian down there on 2, surprise. Johan Last on 2, Hadu Laranmar on 2, Paul Levitz and Erkki Arko all on 2 points. So 1 Alfred Nitscher, and yet to score John Wormsley and Yoma Raymer, but already a gap opening up between the top section of riders and the rest. A 2-point gap between Sawyer and the bottom end of the score chart, and that could widen as the meeting goes on. Well, indeed, as you can see from that score chart, the top 7 riders are beginning to break away from the rest. 6 places, of course, available in the world final. But one or two of those riders in those top positions, of course, will not be able to go through if 2 of their countrymen were in front of them. Last year, that ruling caught out 1 or 2 of the riders here, just trying to check through. It's one of the Russians. It was in fact Rice Mustafin, who is in fact not riding. He rode at Stockholm, finished 4th, but couldn't qualify. 3 riders now joining Yama Sawyer at the start for Heat 9. On the inside gate in red, Johan Last, he's on 2. Gate 2 in blue, Erkki Arko. In white, Kjerit Rok. Like Last, they're both on 2 points. On the outside in yellow, Yama Sawyer with 4. Sawyer needing the win here to keep in touch with that top pack of riders. 5 riders on 5 points plus Zhukov, and there's Sawyer, beautiful style. Sawyer very much an outside line rider, and it does tend to make him a marked man. He can get a little predictable at times. This is Sawyer at his best. Really low down on the outside of the track. Second place in white, Kjerit Rok. Third in red, Johan Last. The Dutchman building up for a battle now. At the back, it is Erkki Arko. Arko having problems just getting a kick from the back wheel coming out of the pit turn, as the spikes just couldn't get enough grip. Sawyer turning on the style now out in front. The race though for second and third between Rok and Last. The 2 Dutchmen on level points going into this one. 1 lap to go now. World number 2, Sawyer leading then. Looks like Rok is going to win the battle of the Dutchman, and in fact Arko may well just sneak through for the third on Johan Last. Well, there it is, the winning yellow for Yama Sawyer. Second in white is Kjerit Rok. Third, well, it was tight at the end. It looked like it may well have just gone to Arko. We're waiting for official confirmation on that one. I can tell you though now, with those 3 points, Sawyer moves on to 7. Second place going to Kjerit Rok. He moves on to 4. 1 point they're going to Erkki Arko, yes, just getting it on the line. He moves on to 3. Johan Last, failing to score there, remains on 2. Well, as you can see there, the gap being emphasised. Sawyer in that top group of riders. The other 3 there in the bottom group, and it looks like it's going to take a lot of effort for any of the Dutchmen, the British riders, or 1 or 2 of the lower end Finns to break through into that top group. So it's going to be really a race for honour for the bottom half of the field, with the top riders challenging for those 6 places. Hiversoya staking his claim to be in with that top group, winning heat number 9 there, going up onto 7 points and becomes temporary leader of the competition. Heat 10 though coming up next looks like being a cracker. We've got 5 riders tying for 2nd place on 5 points. We've got 4 of them coming up here in heat 10. We have a crucial race coming up then in heat 10. 3 Swedes lining up in this, all 3 of the Swedes, plus Igor Yakolev. Yakolev will take gate 1 in red. Then we have Conny Fastason in blue, Per-Olof Sorenius in white, and Jan Sigurd in yellow. Well, the Swedes know that only one of them is not going to qualify, but then only 2 are going to get through. At the most, of course. And so the one that finishes 3rd out of these 3 Swedes will have a blow against him here. Somehow I would think maybe Sorenius might be the victim. He has looked good, but he's restricted by that illness. Swedes having all kinds of problems this year. Erik Stenlund breaking a bone in his hand and missing the team final last week. He will be fit though for the World Final in Stockholm next week. That's climax to this competition coming up next Sunday here on Screen Sports. From the same stadium as that Technikensveld International meeting that started the ice series this year, the Söderstadion in Stockholm. The 2-minute time allowance is underway here in Heat 10. Standard time allowance you get in all forms of Speedway. Riders, once that is sounded, have 2 minutes to get out on the track, proceeding in the direction of the tapes. Well, you find that rule's changing slightly in the British League this year and National League, because there has to be in a particular place on the track within those 2 minutes, particular box just behind the starting gate. You'll come across that when we get into the Shale League Speedway racing in April. For the meantime, no ice running under its current regulations. If those regs will apply to international racing, those will come into effect next season. In ice racing, we once more going through the lineup. Igor Yakolev rides in red, Fastason in blue, Sorenius in white, and in yellow Jan Sigurd, and it's Fastason that we're waiting for. And Fastason just coming out of the pits, just about beating the 2-minute time allowance. So we now have 3 qualifiers from Tampere against 1 from Groningen, the Dutch qualifier being Jan Sigurd, Gothenburg-based racer. Well, superb start by the Russian Yakolev off the inside. It looks as if it's Fastason that's been left, and the red lights go on as the bikes go down. 1 man down there, and it's the Russian going down there, Igor Yakolev, straight into the bales there, avoiding the bike. That's the technique in ice racing. When that bike goes down, make sure you keep well away from that back wheel. Make sure you got the saddle between you and the spikes. Well, the referee has yet to show any exclusion lights. Last time I said that, one of them was put on. So the red stop lights are shown. We're waiting for referee Jürgen Deutsches to make up his mind on this, and the red exclusion light is shown. Igor Yakolev suffers a severe blow there in Heat 10, excluded from that race, and it will be 3 Swedes only in the rerun of Heat 10. So Yakolev having to pull himself out of the wreckage there over on the apex of the turn. As you see here in Holland, like most of the Dutch tracks, in fact like all of them, straw bales forming the safety fence with a board fence behind. We've seen other fences in use, the catch fence in Sweden with a lightweight catch fence, rather like the Speedway fences you see at Ryehouse or Wimbledon in the National League. Suspended fences with an ice wall behind, and some just simply with an ice wall, although the ice wall idea is gradually being phased out of ice speedway, with the amount of bikes rebounding off the solid wall and coming straight back across the field and taking out in a rather devastating fashion those riders following on behind. Well, it looks like Yakolev is okay, walking back to the pits now, and we're ready for a restart of Heat 10 with 3 riders only. So 3 riders only for the restart of Heat 10. Just to remind you, gate 1 will be blank. Conny Fastason takes gate 2 in blue. Per-Olof Sorenius will take gate 3 in white. Jan Sigurd takes gate 4 in yellow and black. Just edging forward there, Fastayson, who's caught by the referee just delaying the taped release just to catch the moving Fastayson. It's Serenius who leads. Sigurd is second, and Fastayson is in third place. Well, that's good news for Serenius, very gracefully kicking the bike back into position, going down the straight. You got a lovely view there of him curling over the bike, getting it back upright. Sigurd, though, closing in with Serenius taking a fairly leisurely run at it. Sigurd cutting back on the inside off the pit turn. Serenius just blocking mid-track. I think Sigurd might have the gap there. No, Serenius cuts back again towards the red line on the inside of the track. Fastayson knocks out of it here in heat 10. 1 lap to go now. Can Sigurd find a way past? He's getting tempted, I think, just to follow Serenius' racing line and try and cut inside him on the back straight. He's going for the outside line now, going for the full throttle around the pit turn, but Serenius has blocked him down the home straight, and Serenius holds on. Good tactical race there by Pit-Olof Serenius, winning his second race of the night. He wins heat 10. Jan Sigurd takes second, and Serenius, he may be ill, but he still can pull off one of those down the back straight. Dangerous enough on an ordinary speedway bike, let alone a machine with 300 spikes. Serenius, the showman of the Swedish team, wins heat 10. Second place, Jan Sigurd, and third place, Conny Fastayson. Well, that means Fastayson moves on to 6, Serenius on to 8, and Sigurd moves on to 7. So a useful win there for Serenius against his fellow Swedes. Heat 11 sees the third appearance of Paul Evitz in red. Up against him here, Alfred Nitsche from West Germany, Hannu Laronma from Finland, and Sergei Sokolov. Sokolov, the struggling Russian, only 2 points so far. Indeed, none of these riders over 2-point mark going into this 11th heat. On the inside in red, Paul Evitz, then gate 2 in blue, it's Alfred Nitsche. Gate 3 in white, Hannu Laronma, and gate 4 in yellow, Sergei Sokolov. All of them with 2 points, with the exception of Nitsche off gate 2. Evitz race jacket there showing the HL1 sponsorship game this season. HL1, of course, sponsor of Hackney Speedway as well. And Evitz just about holding on to the inside line, but squeezing around the outside, it's Sokolov. Now Evitz getting problems on the inside from Nitsche. And Paul getting relegated to third there, struggling here in heat 11, and indeed now being overhauled for fourth as Laronma comes through. Well, out in front we have Sokolov. Second place Nitsche, third place Laronma, Paul Evitz drifting to the back. Well, with Sokolov's form so far, it's surprising to think how he could have finished in front of riders like Serenius and Hirva Sawyer out of Tampere in Finland. Scored 29 points for second place, and in fact was only beaten in the runoff by Zhukov. And here he is, only 2 third place in his first 2 rides, looking for a window here in his third ride. Sergei Sokolov leads here in heat 11. Second place in blue, Alfred Nitsche. This will bring Nitsche under 3 points, but this is very much the tail end of the score chart on display here in heat 11. A win in yellow for Sergei Sokolov. Sokolov now has 5. Second place Alfred Nitsche, he now has 3. Third place in white, Hannu Laronma, he has 3. And Paul Evitz missing out on the chance to at least rise to the top of the bottom group, failing to score, and he remains on 2 points. He knew it was going to be tough out here, and that's the way it's proving. Paul Evitz gating well, but he just can't hold on to it after the start.
At 1 point, and point for
Well, to say that John Wormsley has a difficult job of outgating the man on the inside of him here at heat 12 would be an understatement. Wormsley taking gate 4. It's going to be Vladimir Zhukov, the world champion, lining up alongside him on gate 3. Well, John certainly could learn a lot about starting technique here with Zhukov lining up alongside him. Full lineup on the inside in red, we have Sergei Ivanov on 5 points. Gate 2 in blue, Jorma Rema yet to score. Gate 3 in white, Vladimir Zhukov unbeaten on 6 points. Gate 4 in yellow, John Wormsley again yet to score. Well, can he take a point here off Rema? A long way away from Zhukov. Not too bad following the Russian out of the gates. He's almost outgated. In fact, he has outgated Sokolov, or rather Ivanov there. But that's the problem, you can't hold on Certainly the British racers' starting technique cannot be faulted. Zukov, who leads here in Heat 12, the last race before the interval here at Assen. Second place, it's Sergei Ivanov. Third place, John Walmsley. And fourth, Jorma Rehmer. A good start by John. Could have well earned him his first point of the evening here in Heat 12. It's looking very much like it's going to be a relatively easy stroll here for Vladimir Zukov in this semi-final, setting up that head-to-head clash with Erik Stenlund next week in Stockholm. 1 lap to go. Vladimir Zukov showing that World Championship style here. Mind you, it looked like this in Stockholm, and then on the second day, well, Fredriksson beat him. Zukov not unbeatable by a long way. He wins though Heat 12. Third winner for the night. Second place, Sergei Ivanov. Third place, John Walmsley's first points. And fourth place in blue, Jorma Rehmer. So the world champion now racks up his third win of the meeting to lead the competition on 9 points. Sergei Ivanov moves on to 7. That will give him third place shared. Third place there to John Walmsley. He picks up his first point. And Jorma Rehmer fails to score, remains on 0. So that's it. All riders have had 3 starts here at Assen. Well, as the track maintenance goes on during the interval, let's take a look at the overall points now scored by these riders. Leading, we have on 9 points, Vladimir Zukov. He would obviously qualify in the present time in the top 6, using the usual qualification rules on semis. Only 2 from one nation going through. So let's see who else would go through at the present time. On 8 points, Per-Ola Serenis, he would qualify. On 7, Jan Sigurd, he would go through. Sergei Ivanov would go through. Yamahiva Soya, also on 7 points, would go through. Then we go down to the 6-point man. Fastason would not qualify because 2 Swedes are ahead of him. Then on to the 5-point men. Igor Yakolev and Sergei Sokolov would not qualify again because there are Russians in front of them, which means that the 6th qualifier would be Gerrit Rock. Which does mean if Paul Levitz had kept that 2nd place in Heat 11, he would have been in there in the 6th qualifying spot alongside Gerrit Rock, battling it out. We're going down below them. On 3 points, we have Erkki Akko, Hannu Laronmaa, Alfred Nitscher. Then on to 2 points, Paul Levitz, Johan Last. On 1, John Walmsley, and yet to score, Jorma Rehmer. So John, or rather Paul Levitz, may only have 2 points, but he still is only 2 points away from a qualifying place at the present time. If he can get some points together in the last couple of races here tonight, and the British riders usually improve in the daylight meeting, it may well be a happy ending to this meeting for Paul Levitz. Heat 13, we have 2 Russians, 1 Dutchman, and a Briton here, with John Walmsley riding in the red helmet colour, taking 2 successive rides, but in fact they have been separated by the interval here at Assen. John with 1 point so far, gate 2 in blue, it's Igor Yakolev. He, along with the man in white, Sergei Sokolov, both have 5 points, out of the picture at the moment, but the man in yellow with 1 point less than them would qualify for the final at the present time, Gerrit Rock. So Rock with everything to ride for here. He's missed out on the start to the Russians. In fact, it's Sokolov. In fact, no, Yakolev who makes the start. Sokolov 2nd. Rock is 3rd. At the back in red, it is John Walmsley. Well, Walmsley could do Paul Levitz a favour here if he could beat Gerrit Rock. Apart from, of course, keeping his own chances going. There's Yakolev from the Soviet Union out in front. 2nd place, Sokolov. These the 2 minor Russians in terms of the overall points so far, with Zukov and Ivanov seeming well set on their way to a place in the final. These 2 now really challenging out to see who can then go on to challenge the other 2 Russians. So Sokolov in 2nd place really must get the win. Oh, down they go! And they've already just caught him. No, he's okay. Well, down went the man in blue, Igor Yakolev, and somehow the riders behind just managed to miss him. Looked like their legs may have just caught his shoulder, but a miraculous escape there for Igor Yakolev. That's not the first time he's gone down tonight either. So that race will be restarted. The riders had in fact just about been, they just completed the 3rd lap, but the referee will restart that with 3 riders. It's an exclusion for Igor Yakolev. 3 riders only in the restart of Heat 13. Drama there with the leader going down. Sokolov just managed to go wide of him. Yakolev just seemed to get flipped off the bike, just managed to catch a piece of bad ice, and down he went. And so Yakovlev nursing his second fall of the night. Fell in heat 10 and now has fallen in heat 13. And that's 2 rides without points, and that's taken Yakovlev right out of the championship, or rather the qualification system at the present time. So a lot of work for him to try and get back into the top bracket.
And John Walmsley.
Well, the 3 eligible riders come back to the tapes now for the restart of heat 13. On the inside in red, John Walmsley. Gate 2 is vacant, gate 3 in white, Sergei Sokolov. Gate 4 in yellow, Gerrit Rog. And can you imagine what went through Yakovlev's mind as he went down? 900 spikes heading towards him from behind, and he didn't know where they were. Well, John Walmsley, they're just missing out on the gate, slotting into second place though. The Russian is out in front, Sokolov. Rock back in third. This is not going to help the Dutchman at all, finishing third behind John. John just swerving across the track there. Well, drama there going down that straight. John going wide. I think Rock may have the speed. Walmsley having all kinds of problems, and Rock's through. Well, that's got the crowd enthusiastic there, the Dutch crowd firmly behind Gerrit Rock here in heat 13. Sergei Sokolov now set to put a bit of pressure on the top 2 Russians, leading this by something like 50 yards over the second place man. And that's Gerrit Rock. 1 lap to go after this. So John Walmsley set to pick up his second point of the meeting so far in his 4th ride. Just couldn't hold on to that second after another good gate. Certainly are sharp out of the start, the HL1 British riders, but they just can't maintain it. It's the winning white for Sergei Sokolov, second place for Gerrit Rock. That could be vital by the end of this meeting. Third in red, John Walmsley. So Sokolov moves now on to 8 points, 3 now ahead of his fellow Russian Yakovlev after that fall. All credit to all 3 riders for their evasive tactics in avoiding the fallen Yakovlev. I'm sure he'll be relieved. Gerrit Rock moves on to 6, and John Walmsley moves on to 2 points. So that's sorted out those 2 Russians. Yakovlev looking a long, long way off qualification now for the final. Sokolov keeping his hopes alive there in heat 13. On now to heat 14, we have in this a Russian, 1 Brit, 1 Finn and a Swede. The Swede is Jan Sigurd. He goes in red. In blue, Sergei Ivanov. In white, Paul Evitz. And in yellow, Jarmo Heversoya. What a difficult race here for Paul Evitz. And that is an understatement. Sigurd and Ivanov both on 7 along with Heversoya. All 3 of them on 7. Paul on 2 points. And realistically, doesn't stand a lot of chance in this one. So Sigurd off 1. Ivanov off 2, Evitz off 3, Heversoya off 4. Paul missing the start completely. Almost like a start at the Telford Ice meeting. Oh, down goes the man in blue. Ivanov just catching the back wheel of Heversoya. Once more high drama here in Holland. Sergei Ivanov going down, and that could give Sokolov a chance of closing the gap if Ivanov is excluded. Jürgen Dorschus just about to ring, I think, the pits at the moment to confirm things. We haven't got an exclusion light yet. Could say that was first Ben Bunching, obviously, but I think he's just checking out now at the moment. Someone else's opinion somewhere, but worrying moments now for Ivanov. Is he okay? Did he avoid the bike? Will he in fact get the chance to ride again in the rerun? We're certainly getting the falls now. This ice begins to really crack up here at Assen. There is no way to resurface the ice. All they're doing is sweeping the chippings off between races. At some tracks you've seen the kind of machines you might see in an indoor ice rink, where they go and lay fluid on the track, let the fluid find its own level, and then when it refreezes you've got a smooth surface. Here at Assen they're unable to do it, so we're getting a very, very rough circuit. I was saying earlier that Jarmo Heversoya had a fairly quiet time of it this year. Finished 4th in the Tampere quarter-final in his home nation with 21. Scored a maximum in the install team semi-final, but only 19 last week in Leningrad. And then that Technikensveld International, 4th place at 23. But the disappointment, I think, really coming only 4th in his quarter-final in Finland, and looking well and truly out of it last week in Leningrad. Top scorer for Finland, admittedly, but it was Arko that was capturing the headlines. Hivasoja, 31 years of age, from Oulu in Finland, known as Uleåborg by the Swedes. He rides in yellow here. And indeed, we've got all 4 riders in the restart of Heat 14. So Ivanov lives to fight another day, able to get himself out of the wreckage, and not excluded. 4 riders then coming to the tapes of Heat 14. So once more, taking them across the line on the inside in red, it's going to be Jan Sigurd. Gate 2 in blue, Sergei Ivanov. Gate 3 in white, Paul Evitz. Gate 4 in yellow, Jarmo Hivasoja. So the Swede off gate 1, the Russian off gate 2, the British rider off gate 3, and the Finn off gate 4. Paul making a better start of it this time, but still trailing off at the back. It's Ivanov who has made the start, getting the reprieve here and making full use of it. Second in red, Jan Sigurd. Third in white, it's Paul Evitz. Or rather in yellow, it's Jarmo Hivasoja. Well, here's the chance for the Finn to turn on the style. He's got a couple of riders stuck in the inside. Sigurd having problems, and this track is getting dangerous. Well, Sigurd had the lead over Ivanov. Now here comes Hivasoja around the outside. Sigurd, though, recapturing second place. We're certainly getting exciting racing, but they're living on a razor's edge here. Now Sigurd hits the front again. Ivanov second, marvellous stuff, but it could quite easily end in disaster at any second. Hivasoja goes wide, 1 lap to go. Sigurd first, Ivanov is second. Third place is Hivasoja, dropping well back now, I think just settling back for the point. The checkered flag comes out. It's going to be Jan Sigurd who wins Heat 14. Sigurd first then, second in blue, Sergei Ivanov. Third place, Jarmo Hivasoja, and fourth in white, Paul Evitz. Well, Paul having a marvellous year there of an excellent race. But you do begin to wonder whether this rough track is beginning to cause too many problems for these riders. Even the top-class riders like Ivanov are having trouble. Well, now, Sigurd moves on to 10, Ivanov on to 9, Hivasoja on to 8, Paul Evitz remains on 2.
1 point.
Well, having seen Sergei Ivanov having problems on the first turn in the last race, we now have the chance to see Erkki Arko here in Heat 15. Wonder what he'll make of it now. Also in this, we have the meeting leader, Vladimir Zhukov. He will ride in white. The other riders off gate 2 in blue, it is Hannu Laromna, and gate 4 in the other, Conny Fastesen. The points for these riders, the Finns on gates 1 and 2 both have 3. Zhukov has 9, and Fastesen has 6. So how will Zhukov handle the circuit now? That's causing problems for 1 or 2 of his chasing pack of riders. Zhukov just glides away from the start, almost like he was on rails there. Zhukov first. Fastesen slots into second place. The Finns having their battle for third. Laromna at the moment having the drop over Erkki Arko. Arko not looking the same rider that he was in Leningrad. Only just qualified in Tampere, and I think showing that form here tonight. Going through for second now, Hannu Laromna, relegating Fastesen to third. Fastesen's chances of qualifying for the final are getting more and more remote now, especially if Arko can get up for that third. Even Zhukov having problems out in front. Zhukov lifting on a couple of parts of the track now and then. The yellow and black flag coming out, 1 lap to go after this. Zhukov first, Laromna second, third place Fastesen now closing in, it's Erkki Arko. Arko going for the outside run as Fastesen moves out. Most terrifying thought in Speedway, you go on the outside of someone and he starts drifting as well. Zhukov wins, second place Laromna, third place Fastesen, just holding on there, and fourth in red, Erkki Arko. So Vladimir Zhukov extends his unbeaten run to 4 rides now. 12 points for Zhukov. Second place goes to Hannu Laromna, he moves on to 5. Third place to Conny Fastesen, he moves on to 7. And Erkki Arko fails to score, he remains on 3. That now means that Laromna has closed the gap on Gerrit Ruck down to just 1 point, and of course Ruck is holding that 6th qualifying place at the present time, or prior to this round anyway. 1 race to go before the end of the 4th round, and then we'll be able to reassess who are the top 6 qualifiers for the world final, on the present form at least. And looking now at the seat 16, we have one of the top riders in this one, Petrol of Serenius, rides in yellow, coming up to the start at the present time. Serenius 1 point behind Zukov prior to this round of rides. Needs a win to keep that 1 point margin and hold on to second place. The riders in this shouldn't prove too much of an obstacle. On the inside in red, it's Alfred Nitscher, 3 points so far for the German. Johann Last, gate 2 in blue, he's got 2 points. Gate 3 in white, Jorma Rehmer yet to score. Gate 4 in yellow, Petrol of Serenius, he's on 8. Well, Serenius labouring slightly out at the start, just cutting down onto the racing line in time, having problems on that second turn. Second in blue, we have Johann Last. Third in white, Jorma Rehmer. Rehmer set for his first point of the meeting. Well, remind you, Rehmer was the world finalist last year. Pulling up at the back, Alfred Nitscher. West Germany only have one world final qualifier so far, Helmut Weber. And with Nitscher struggling dreadfully here tonight, looks like there may well be only one West German in the World Ice Speedway final in Stockholm, Helmut Weber. Serenius then leads. It's a race between Rehmer and Last for the second place. Really, both riders well and truly out of it. Rehmer failing to score prior to this, and Johann Last only having 2 to his credit. 1 lap to go now. It's bad news for the British cause, though, with Paul Evans getting overhauled now. And looking as though he's going to be pretty well out of it, unless he can get some points in his last ride. The checkered flag comes out. It's the win in yellow for Petrol of Serenius. Second place in white goes to Jorma Rehmer. Third in blue goes to Johann Last. Only 3 finishers, with Alfred Nitscher retiring there, and his chances now seem virtually gone. So Serenius maintains that 1 point deficit between him and Zukov. Second place there to Jorma Rehmer. First points of the meeting, he goes on to 2. Johann Last picks up 1, moves on to 3. Nitscher also remains on 3. Well, with 4 races to go in the first part of tonight's coverage of this World Ice Speedway Championship individual semi-final here in Assen. 16 races gone now, everyone's had 4 races. There is no change in the 6 riders that would qualify for the final at the present time. Vladimir Zukov has 12 points, on 11 Petrol of Serenius, on 10 Jan Sigurd, then on 9 Sergei Ivanov, on 8 points Yamahiro Sawyer. Sergei Sokolov would not qualify on 8 because of the 2-rider rule. On 7 Connie Fastason, he again would be frustrated by that. We then would go down to Gerrit Ruck for that 6-point total as a qualifier. Below him on 5 Igor Yakolev really dropping out of it. Hannu Laronmar coming back into the picture somewhat. On 3 points Erkki Arko, Alfred Nitscher, Johann Last. Then on 2 points really out of the picture John Walmsley, Paul Evans and Jorma Rehmer. And that's it, yes, the bottom of the score chart shared between those 3 riders. So still no change. And Gerrit Ruck still in with a chance of a place in the world final. Well, we now move on to heat 17. 4 races to go on the first night. Lining up on the inside in red, Gerrit Ruck. Gate 2 in blue, Paul Evans. Gate 3 in white, Petrol of Serenius. Gate 4 in yellow, Vladimir Zukov. So we have first and second meeting up here in gates 3 and 4. Serenius 1 point adrift to Zukov, but it's going to be 2 after this one. Zukov making a blinding start. Serenius in second place. Third is Paul Evans at the back, Gerrit Ruck. And Paul certainly has had the tough rides in the closing stages. Ahead, though, of Ruck here in heat 17. Paul really regressing those points he threw away earlier. And there's another one gone, drifting wide there on a very difficult surface, admittedly, and letting Ruck through. Well, it's still Zukov with Serenius giving chase. And all these stories about Serenius not being well, losing a stone in weight. Well, if this is what he's like when he's not well, what's he like when he's fully fit? Serenius looking fairly quiet in last week's World Team Final at Leningrad. Closing in all the time, though, on the world champion here. We could get quite a finish to this race. Zukov going wide, Serenius closing in. I don't think he's getting close enough. These two 50 yards clear of the rest. Off the pit turn now. Zukov, I think, is going to hold on. Serenius challenging all the way. Zukov wins. Serenius second. Third is Ruck. Just on the line there from Paul Evans. Well, 2 races in 1. Zukov winning from Serenius. Serenius happy enough, though. He's finished the night with 13 points. Vladimir Zhukov, though, has finished with 15, unbeaten at the end of the first night's racing for him. 3 races, though, still to go. Zhukov finishes the first night with 15, Serenius finishes with 13, Rock finishes with 7, and Evitz finishes with 2. That could well be enough to put Gerrit Rock still in that top 6 qualifying positions at the end of the first night, but still 3 races to go. I think, though, Rock might just get caught. He's 18. In this one, we have one of the men in those top positions, the third place man prior to this round, Jan Sigurd. He lines up in blue. A win here would put him level with Serenius. On the inside in red, Alfred Nitscher, only 3 points for the German so far tonight. His last ride of the night's racing. Gate 2 in blue, Jan Sigurd on 10. Gate 3 in white, John Wormsley on 2. Gate 4 in yellow, Erkki Arko on 3. Well, superb start from Wormsley. He's got the drop on Sigurd, but Sigurd, though, getting the speed together going into the turn. Wormsley dropping back into third as Nitscher drifts through on the inside. Now at the back, Erkki Arko. Arko going right out into the bales, and problems there for the German. Nitscher locking up in front of Wormsley. And the British rider now getting overhauled, though, on the outside by Arko. Getting a frog in my throat there with the pressure of all this exciting stuff here at Assen. If not, a little on the dangerous side for the riders. Out in front then, Jan Sigurd, second place in red, Alfred Nitscher, third in yellow, Erkki Arko, fourth, John Wormsley. 1 lap to go after this pit turn. This will put Sigurd level with Serenius at the end of the first night's racing on 13 points, joint second. Then they'd have to go to number of heat wins and winning times. I'll try and check those out before I give you the details at the end of this part 1 programme of this ice racing coverage here tonight in Screen Sport. Sigurd wins, second is Nitscher, third is Arko, and fourth in white, John Wormsley. So Jan Sigurd moves on to 13, Alfred Nitscher on to 5, Erkki Arko on to 4, John Wormsley remains on 2. Those riders' closing scores at the end of the first night's racing. So Jan Sigurd shares second place on the current position until we sort out the various heat-winning times and so on. But it looks like it's going to be a Russian and 2 Swedes on the rostrum at the end of the first night. Penultimate race now of part 1 of this semi-final. The last of 3 semi-finals in the Ice Racing Championship. We have in this, in red, Hannu Laronma, in blue, Igor Yakolev, in white, Sergei Ivanov, and in yellow, Johan Last. Ivanov needing points here in white to keep away from Sergei Sokolov. He was only 1 point behind him in this, the closing stages of this first night. Laronma in red has 5, Yakolev has 5, Ivanov has 9, Last has 3. Well, Ivanov getting blocked out there by Yakolev, and he's back in third place, leading in red, it's Laronma. But a superb bit of cornering there by Ivanov takes him through into second. Yakolev coming back on the outside. He's fallen in his last 2 rides, looking awkward there. Down by the pit turn at the back in yellow, Johan Last. Laronma hitting problems there, Ivanov going the wrong side of him. Had he taken the inside, he'd have been through there. As it was, if Laronma had lost it, Ivanov would have been taken straight into the fence. He's trying the outside again. Going down into the turn, Ivanov has just got the drop. Going around the bend, Laronma's got problems, and he almost took Ivanov with him. Ivanov showing no fear at all there. Laronma having all kinds of problems on the inside. Ivanov just going around the outside of him. Those spikes presented directly at him, and a bike that could leap at him at any moment. Yakolev back in third place, Johan Last a long way back and forth. The checkered flag comes out now in heat 19. Going wide there though, Ivanov, but he manages to hold on. Sergei Ivanov wins. A triumph of guts over common sense, I think, they're going around Hannu Laronma. Wonderful riding by Sergei Ivanov. Second in red, Hannu Laronma. Third in blue, Igor Yakolev. And fourth, Johan Last. So Sergei Ivanov takes his life in his hands and moves on to 12 points and takes fourth place at the end of the first night's racing. Hannu Laronma moves on to 7. Third place in that, Igor Yakolev moves on to 6. Johan Last remains on 3. 1 race to go then in part 1. Incidentally, that second place there for Hannu Laronma now puts him level with Gerrit Rock for that final qualifying place. In heat 20, we have Connie Fastason in red. He's on 7, but he's out of it because of the 2-rider rule. Another man out of the situation at the moment, Sergei Sokolov on the 2-rider per nation rule. He's on 8. Yamahiva Sawyer is in the bracket though with 8 in white. And in yellow, Jorma Remer, he's on 2. So we have a Swede on the inside, a Russian off 2, and 2 Finns off 3 and 4. Hiversoy, though, will be looking for the win here to keep the flow going, keep him up in that top 4, top 5 rather. Well, the start there from Sergei Sokolov. He needs the points to keep the pressure on Ivanov. Hiversoy getting taken wide, and now going through Fastayson for second. Fastayson also desperate for points, trying to close in on Sigurd and Serenius, but this would only put him on 9. Still a long way to go. In fact, dropping back into third now as Hiversoy resumes second place. At the back in yellow, the spectator in this one, Jorma Reimer. Last year's world finalist. Doesn't look like he's going to make it again. So going right out into the loose ice, Sergei Sokolov. Well, this will put him on 11, just 1 point behind Ivanov, and that looks like a battle that could well be developing in the second day's racing that you'll be seeing later on here on Screen Sport tonight. This is the taste of the main coverage coming up later as this championship builds to its climax, the semi-final here in Assen. That's all coming up later here on Screen Sport. Hiversoy taking second place, third in red, Connie Fastayson just holding out Jorma Reimer, but out in front, coming off the pit turn for a vital win there from the Soviet Union, Sergei Sokolov. Jorma Hiversoy second, third, just getting there on the line, Jorma Reimer, and at the back, Connie Fastayson, and I think Fastayson can now forget about qualifying for the world final. He's 6 behind his fellow 2 Swedes. That looks like curtains for Fastayson. So that brings the racing to a close on the first night. And those riders, well, Hiversoy moves on to 10, Sokolov on to 11, Fastayson remains on 7, Jorma Reimer moves on to 3.